Hi friends, good evening, and this is your host Ankit Khandelwal joining you from Delhi, India, and welcome to Gym 8 from California, and good morning to America, and good morning to the world, and welcome to IBM TV Spiritual Saturday. And we have a great lineup on this Saturday, as usual. We'll start with Anandi Mai talking about healing techniques, and we are also coming up with a show name, which is the Smart Soul with Anandi Mai. After that, we have Dr. Sadhguru's talk show, and then we have front from the funk seat with Zach Robertson, and then we have Plant a Good Seed with Tishokle. So it's a great alignment. And after that, we have our famous chess starts 3 p.m. EST. So that's the lineup for the day. And I would like to welcome all the guests on the show today. I'll bring them on stage. Good evening. How are you?
Rakesh, good evening. Coach
Good
Kumar.
Good evening.
Namaste.
Namaste. How are you doing?
All good.
Good,
This week I'm
good.
all set
And you?
up.
All right.
How about you, Rakesh? How are you doing?
Very good and doing very well. How about all of you?
2 thumbs
You all
up.
are good? It's Spiritual Saturday, and we have Anandi Mai joining us. So we'll start with Anandi. So Anandi will start with the Spiritual Saturday. What is spiritual for you?
Good question, Ankit. Okay. Spirituality for me is the journey inside. Never look outside for spirituality or any knowledge on spirituality, because there are a different type of modalities and different type of people practicing it, and as per them they give you a definition which might or might not fit to your definition of it. But when you walk inside you, that's always you're walking to your soul, which has come to this earth for a purpose. And I was telling this to someone the other day, that the only person who is going to stay with you till the last breath of you is you. So when you connect with that soul, when you connect with that person, then your spirituality starts. Nobody taught Gautam Buddha. Nobody taught Gautam Buddha. Nobody was his teacher. He just took that journey. He just took that initiative to know himself. And when you talk about all the, if you say spiritual leaders or religious idols, also even Jesus, nobody taught him what to do, what not to do. Muhammad, nobody did that. It was their own awareness. There's a poet Kabir. There's the other poet called Rumi. They all talk about spirituality, and they talk about self-love and the journey inside. So,
Yes.
yeah.
Because one of the things that comes up for me is I think spirituality is an inside job. And that's what I tell people. It's an inside job. Don't look outwards.
Yeah.
So I think what you said is just remarkably true. There's an aura of truth around it.
But I think I'm not sure about others, but you need time to understand that you have started the feeling of spirituality and you have started understanding it, because it's not that there's a time limit that will start at this stage or this stage. It's all about connection and how you built it. So, I mean, so I have my own spiritual story that when I able to understand that how I can connect to the God or maybe whatever, but everyone has their own thing. Good morning, Kim. How are you?
Good morning. My apologies for being late. I was on the phone with attorneys. So,
Of course. That's been your life lately. Attorneys. I'm so sorry for what you're going through.
Well, that's why I came in today. I told people I'm going to take 2 hours and get some spiritual healing and feel some love so I can fight another day. So, Coach Kumar, I need you.
Love for you.
Yeah, you know what? And I want to tell you guys, I've been doing my manifestation practices all week. So they are becoming habits. And you know, hello, Jim. Thank you for covering for me, and Rakesh. It's nice to see you again.
Same here.
So anyway, what's the good news today?
Good news is that we all are back and Kim is back. That's the good news.
Yes. We're talking. What is this?
Wow.
So, okay, it's the lemon water I drink every day in what we call a very fashionable glassware here in the South. It's a mason jar.
Yeah.
This way you can see what we're drinking. And if you're drinking water, odds are in the South you're really drinking moonshine. But but
But
anyway,
you class it up with a mason jar.
right. This is my lemon water that I drink every day with, and I put blueberries in it just to make it kind of pop and have different color. So, but anyway, so to good health, and I should add some turmeric to this, but.
Well, and Kate, what do I have in my water?
Basil.
Basil or basil?
Basil. I've got some in the garden. I should have gone to cut some this morning. Mint and basil adds to it. So yeah, lots of good. So where are we at in our spiritual conversation today?
Well, if I may, I would just say that Coach Kumar was telling us that it's we have to look inward for our spirituality and not outward. And also, we were just talking about how looking inward can help you connect. And Ankit was talking about his spiritual development and how it allowed him to connect to people and people around the globe, all people, not just people that are in your community, but everyone. We're all connected.
You know, when people spiritually, I believe when people start to spiritually reach out with the true intentions of good healing, we do connect. I truly believe that it is like Coach Kumar keeps telling us to reconnect with Earth, right? That there's that electrical power in Earth. And we all know we have kinetic energy, right? If you can make some sparks occasionally. I believe that. And Coach Kumar is a good person who can help us refocus that energy. And that's what this is about, is because I get crazy and busy during the week, and you know, the challenges that we meet, you forget it. You forget these good practices and the Reiki. I totally forgot about just getting back to my balance. The Japanese had taught me, but so this is great. Hi everybody. So, Rakesh, how is it in Hong Kong?
It's good. We're having a few extra cases, but when I look at the numbers around the world, I don't think we're that much to be perturbed about. We just brought some more equipment to protect ourselves, and then that's about it. We're okay. As you rightly said, one has to maintain one's equilibrium.
Yes.
Within, we are part of nature, and if you trust God, then you won't worry. And this is what I keep telling myself, because I am the biggest worrier in my family.
So are you one of those people, like in that song, you just can't let go of that wheel? You she just lets go of the wheel and the car spins out, but she survives anyway.
No, I never let go. I have a terrible control freak, and I have to keep talking to myself.
You know, I'm world's worst too. I'm that one that's still white knuckled. Okay, God, I got it. Yeah, God's gotta like look at me and go, "Oh my God, I messed up somewhere." But
it's never too late, Kimberly. It's never too late. That's what I learned.
Yeah,
it's not too late for me. It was not too late for you.
But my dad told me if you're not having challenges and peace in the world, and he'd take me for a walk into a graveyard, he goes, that's where you are. so it made me learn to appreciate a little bit of some of the challenges.
Well,
and become part of the living world. Because I don't, the alternative just isn't what I'm ready for. But and I think he would take me for walks through the graveyard on purpose, it wasn't to look at who's buried there. It was to remind me that the pains I live with today are better than the alternative. But the thing is that Coach Kumar can teach us to focus past these pains. And I've learned this practice before, but what my doctor told me one time was you can't stop practicing, and you got to renew that practice with experts. You can't just do, this is something we just don't do on our own, even no matter how disciplined we are. It just,
Well, Coach Kumar, the thing that I just heard was trying to remain calm. And that's something that I'm working on because when the storms of life are howling around me, I must remain calm. And so, how would you advise me to be calm, even though when the world is howling around me?
Okay, so for that, Jim, as I shared it earlier in our show also, that we have to be grounded. We need to stay grounded. So a lot of grounding practice is needed. Either you do a grounding meditation, or you just sit on a bench in grass, or just put your feet in the mud for some time. So when you're grounded, and it's same as the tree, I gave this example earlier also. When the tree is deep rooted, no matter how hard the storm comes, that stands. I agree that it has a lot of movement, but still it is standing there even after the storm is gone, because it is rooted deep inside in the Mother Earth. And especially for people like us who are the energy channels, we need to practice this. Earlier, I used to do it weekly, like every day in a week, like 5 days or 6 days in a week. Now I have reduced it to 3 days because I do other meditations practices as well. So for that, to know your energy and your connection, what I would ask you to do, just take a nice deep breath in. All of us can do it, and just bring your in a namaste form, and just try to pull them apart, and just sense the energy between your palm. And as you do it, like if you just pull and push the palm, and you will feel that ball getting bigger and bigger, and you can actually feel that in your between your hands, the energy ball,
Yes.
the push and pull. And after a while, after some time, you don't have to do it even, because and it will become bigger and bigger the more energetic you are, or the more grounded and more you're filled with more this universal energy. Oh God. So
Coach,
it keeps getting bigger.
Coach, it feels like it's pushing back my hands apart.
Yes, yes, yes. So go ahead, and it will stop on its own. You don't have to do a thing about it. You just try do it. And when you see, and when you think that, okay, this is the biggest I can make it today, just bring all that energy to your heart and breathe all that in.
That's wonderful. Thank you.
But what I realized that whenever I do, these kind of exercise or therapies, I need a lot of concentration. Otherwise, I can't do it.
So for that, Ankit, that's why I said we need the grounding first. So we are often taught that uh, start doing meditation, start doing yoga, start doing this or that and everything. But what are the basics of it? If you're not grounded, so it's same as the wiring. You are doing a new wiring in your house, but you're not getting the earthing. What will happen?
Yeah,
All the switches and all the electrical equipments will give you shocks.
true.
So starting of spirituality starts from grounding, where whatever comes, you are able to take a step back, see the problem from a distance, and find out a solution.
I want to add something interesting here, Coach Kumar, and to the team. When you said you get grounded, my feet were up on the chair. So when I put my feet on the ground and did it a few times because I couldn't feel it, when I put my feet on the ground, I could start feeling it. So I
Yeah.
could feel my focus still isn't 100%, but I could start feeling that
The
the
push and pull, yeah.
yeah, I
It
could feel the existence of a sphere. I could feel the existence of a sphere and pressure, like almost like a balloon, right?
well,
I could
yeah,
still
yeah.
pop it, but it only happened when I put my feet on the ground, not when my feet were on the chair. So maybe that is a point. Maybe if I go outside, it'll be better.
Yeah.
But that's interesting. That well, plus when my feet are on the ground, they're equal, as opposed to when my feet are on the chair. So there was no equality, there was no balance. But when I did, so you're right, there is a difference.
And Rakesh, I had my eyes closed, but did you even try?
I did.
You did.
Well, like Kimberly, my feet were in my Crocs, so I know that because I read this somewhere that you keep your hands closed just like a capacitor. You know, I'm a physicist, so I always think like that.
Yeah.
You actually feel the warmth between your hands. And so I could feel that. I didn't feel a ball thing. Somehow didn't feel that, perhaps because of my Crocs. But I do sit in what we call the lotus pose when I sit down for meditation, and I find that helps. So I usually do that after I've dropped my wife to office, and I come home before I start work on my websites. I sit and do about a half an hour or so. Not all of it meditation, just a little meditation, about 5 minutes meditation, and then some yoga, and then I get down to work. So
I agree. I'm like you. I'm agree. I have to have that science of like I know when I rub my hands and I pull them apart. I also know that in a lab I can shoot electricity out of my body. That static electricity occurs. So I'm like you, Rakesh. But I think that there is a science to this.
Yes, there is. We are part of nature. We're not some independent thing. Studying nature. We're part of what we study.
And I've been reading the National Geographic about some of these things, and I think that there's a lot of truth to this. But Coach Kumar, I got a question. Does the size of the ball, like how big you can get it, is that got any significant behind that? Like,
it just not too much of it. It is just that how much energy you have in you, not in terms of the physical energy, but in terms of your emotional balance, your energetic body, because we all have three type of bodies. One we call it spirit, one we call the physical body, and then we have an energy body which stays about this much away from us. And to explain to you the ball in scientific language, as the earth has a magnetic field, our body also have the magnetic field. So when we bring the negative and the positive together, then the push and pull starts.
wow. You know what I envision? So I have to envision things, right? And it helps to have read a lot in my lifetime and see a lot of pictures. I envision those comic superheroes, and they're able to form a electric spear, you know, like especially the Japanese ones, and they throw them, right? Of course, I'm going to take my ball and throw it at somebody. But it all makes sense to me. That people can have felt this, because I don't think that they could have expressed it in their artwork if they've never felt it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So sometimes it helps to visually. That's what I visually see. But I'm just wondering, how big can I get that ball?
And it's very natural. You don't have to put a lot of effort in it. It's just the initial effort when you just start making the sphere. That's the initial part is a little bit of struggle for few people, but after that it's all natural. You don't have to do a thing about it.
Right.
Well,
Here you can feel right here. But go ahead, Jim. Go ahead.
Oh, I'll defer to Rakesh. He was going to say
I was
something.
just saying, you have, if you've ever taken a MRI scan, MRI is magnetic resonance. So the instrument sort of orients the magnetic resonance of every molecule or every atom in your body. So this is real, and they used to call it in science before it became a medical thing. They used to call it nuclear magnetic resonance, because every nucleus and every atom had its magnetic field.
Yes.
But then people got scared of nuclear, so that's why they call it magnetic resonance imaging, because it's
So I'm much more comfortable with that.
That's
So
a
that's
good
why
one,
they,
Keith. I'm so
they
glad you
just-
were here.
so
But-
that's
but-
why the machine is called an MRI scan. It's magnetic resonance. They don't put nuclear, though the principle is the same. It's nuclear magnetic resonance. So, yeah, but so this is real. This is science.
Yes.
We're part of this of nature, and when we learn about ourselves, all these things that we treat ourselves with, this was instinctively realized by wisdom all over the world, not just in India, but in other parts of the world too. And it is fascinating how those ancients realized this thing, way before you had all this equipment.
Yeah, but you've got something there, and I guess I read the National Geographic to learn so much. But one thing I've learned is when something from nature becomes extinct, it unbalances the whole ecosystem, and so would happen probably to our body if we stop practicing certain things. Then the ecosystem inside of our body becomes unbalanced, and I think we just need to get back to good common practice and bring these things back into our body. That's
And
That's
Coach,
how it is, That's
my
how it
question
is.
was, I'm mostly human, but my father was half Vulcan, so I have this logic dominance in me, and I think in terms, do we have to understand this with logic to experience it? I think not. What do you think about that?
So yes, there are few people among us also. Sometimes I also need a lot of scientific backup to just accept one thing if I see it, because our conditioning is in that way, that we have learned things in a certain way, or we have taught things in a certain way, so that if things are not as we learned it, then either it's wrong or we need more backup to or more evidences to
To
back
accept.
it up.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and as like Rakesh said, he's a physicist, and I was like, thank God you heard my wish. I was watching a series on Netflix the other day, and it talks about some quantum physics and time travel and lunar lunar cycle, which turns every 33 years. And after that, you will not believe me. How much time I spent on Google and finding out a physicist who can explain all that to me. I was like, I want to learn this. How can this happen? And it has some fiction that they have found a God particle and they are doing some time travel and stuff.
Yeah.
I'm like, I want to learn this. I want to know it. And then rest of my days up after that was into the Google. I called a couple of my friends. Do you know any physicists who can explain this to me? And they said, are you getting crazy or are you getting mad?
Yeah.
Exactly, you want to learn physics?
What you're describing, Anandibai, Coach Kumar, is what Einstein said. He says, "I am nothing but a child who has just retained his curiosity,"
Oh,
and
ahead.
it's just that. And Newton said something similar, and that is what science is. That is what it is. That incredible curiosity to understand ourselves. And what you said, Kimberly, about species going extinct and things like that, because we see ourselves as different, as managers of the environment, we tend to forget. There are floods all over the world. There are floods in China, floods in India, floods in the UK, all over the world, and all of that is because we see ourselves as managing the environment. If we just learn to respect it, we won't need to manage it. Just respect it.
I think it managed itself
And
just
respect
fine without us for,
And if anything, the virus is telling us that lesson with an
Yeah.
underline mark.
I think that
I think it's telling us to shut up and listen more.
But we must have the wisdom to learn the lesson that Mother Nature is teaching us.
Yes, and I put a funny post, a bit in humor. I said, does the European American, is he going to be an endangered species? Because they're the only ones objecting to the masks.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm going to find that funny post. I get every time I repost funnies like that, people slap me around. But I think my sister, one of my sisters, one time told me, of course, I'm her big sister, and she always thinks I'm smart. But she would always say, when people do that to you, it's because you're telling the truth and they hate the truth. And she's right. People don't want to hear that. None of them ever come back to it with a fact. If you noticed on those posts, it's always a hateful opinion, but not one of them. And so she's told me this many times. Plus, she's also asked me to stop posting anything politically so it stops ruining my reputation. But I don't care about people like that who think that way, right? We all have an opinion. Whether
my reputation was ruined long ago. I no longer worry about it.
Again, why do you think I'm under pressure from the IRS right now? So
yes,
what
I
are you trying to do? So anyway, I've decided not to wait for any more court hearings. I'm going to just start presenting the facts on TV so people can see that I'm telling the truth, because they're not going to, it's a losing battle. But anyway, spiritually, it has killed me. Physically, it has worn me down.
You're much stronger than you think.
Yes.
It's a long way before you die.
Well, it is, but quite honestly, somebody one time told me there are two certain facts in our lives, and one of them is death and the other is taxes, and I don't want the taxes to be the death of me. So,
spiritual energy is a renewable resource.
Right. So the key is to, like Ankit one time told me, sometimes you have to learn where to cut your losses. I should say a smart man once told me, but well, a smart man did tell me that years ago, but Ankit reminded me of that smart man. And
I was about to say the same thing, that as an entrepreneur, you are also an entrepreneur like me, and like Rakesh ji and Jim, and now Anandima is also an entrepreneur. The understanding is that it's difficult to fight with the system at some point of time, and if you fight it out, you might lose the opportunity as well with a lot of other things as well. So if there's a middle gap in between, if we just pass it out and try to work after that with a cooler mind, and maybe you can fight the system later on as well. So maybe there are a lot of things can be done in that way. That's what because in India, I mean, see, Rakesh ji and Anandi knows that in India it's difficult. I mean, the scenario is a little difficult. It's not easy to work with government to basically engage government at any level. And so what the middle part is that we have to compromise, and then once we are stronger, then we can fight it back. That is what, because otherwise, if you involve in a fight or if you involved in some kind of argument, it took years of your good life and a good time where you can invest that time in something else as well. And that is what we understand. And in the stock market, if you invested $1,000 in GE, and if you're not getting that return, then you will switch to Tesla or Apple. So it's simple as that. I mean, we have that life. I'll give you one more example. I mean, I don't have the exact fact, but somewhere it was mentioned that a person spent around 8 years of his life, I mean, inside the green room or a washroom. I don't know about it, but that was a fact, because people have a lot of spiritual thinking, and they think in their own or while in the green room. So
it's crazy, and you can. In my mind, I always see David and Goliath. I am a very small person, but I always felt like I could fight any battle, and I can really if the battlefield allows for you to fight, but this one doesn't, because they have complete immunity. And I was told last week that even if the OAH judge found in my favor, the IRS department trumps their opinion and can reverse it. So I can't win, as they told me. But hear me out on this, So my parents always called me a pit bull with lipstick, or a shark with lipstick, because when I sunk my teeth into something and knew I was right, I could never let go. My mom told me that was going to be my biggest downfall. Sure. And because even if you're right, sometimes you're just you're not. So anyway, one day when I was very stressed out, I felt like there was a bird that flew in on the back porch, and I could see the shadow, a big bird, like a hawk or something. We got hawks out here, but it looked more like a raven to me, which was weird. So I went out, and here this was.
Oh.
Now I don't have kids with toys, so this was left on my back porch that day, and it to me was a reminder that, Kim, you're being a pit bull.
A wise person once told. Go ahead, Rickish.
Go ahead.
It's partly, is this the battle you want to fight? You know, it's sometimes there's one battle that consumes you, and it's not the battle that you want to fight. So you just pick and choose the battles that you want to fight, and then then you focus on that. With the government, what has happened is all of us are numbers. Doesn't matter which government. Wherever you live, whatever the hue or shape of the government, we're just numbers, and that's part of the fact that we are so fertile as a species. 7 billion. We have to remember that number, 1 by 7 billion. So, and the denominator keeps increasing. So that is all we will be in the eyes of the powers that be. And they have those who have risen to the top of the pyramid, suddenly realize that they're actually at the bottom of the pyramid, because whenever whether you're democratically elected or within a party mechanism, you realize that you have to perform, and you have to be popular, and you're a slave to the popularity grid. And you're right at the bottom, the inverted pyramid. A very wise businessman, a Sikh gentleman, told me this, who's a multi-billionaire. He told me this. He says, we who own the company are at the bottom of the pyramid. It's an inverted pyramid because the problems that others that we pay cannot solve come to us. So we have to be, we are the servants of every employee that we have. So
Wow.
Similarly, if we just look at ourselves as within the great macro system, fighting for our sanity and our happiness, we do anything, any little effort, whether we drink a glass of water or eat a piece of chocolate, it's for happiness. Whether we do our meditation, it's for happiness. So remember that, is this what drives my happiness? That will help you choose what fight you want to fight.
Rakesh, that's wonderful. And I've been asked by people wiser than I, would you rather be happy or right? And I think the first time I heard that, I thought it was a trick question, because the way I was operating, I wanted, if I was right, I was happy.
Same here. Same here.
But there is a difference between being happy and right.
So they call them A-type personalities. And I'm like that. And then my sister, who's older than me, just like you're the eldest in your family, my eldest sister told me, Rocky, if you don't stop worrying, the world, you just have to stop worrying. The world will go on. Otherwise, you just go crazy. You'll never be happy. So, and I find myself sometimes when I'm driving, I find that I've clenched my fist over the wheel so hard, I have to consciously release it. It actually hurts when I get.
So maybe we can get Coach Kumar to teach us how to let go. Kind of like Willie, when he goes home, he lets go on that tree, right? He just, here's all my problems today. I'm like you, Rakesh. No way in the world I'm letting go of my will. I've got my will, and I'm not going to let it go. I'm just, but maybe
just listening to Rakesh and you, Kim, I just had a very strong and a beautiful download just now. My father always, whenever we asked him that, how can you be so happy? And every time even if the problem is the biggest in my books, he was always smiling and thinking about things and other stuff. And I always used to tell him that, how can you stay so happy all the time? And then he said that I am like water. And I was like, okay, maybe, whatever. And then now, I had this download that we are taught to go with the flow, but we are not taught to be the flow.
That's right.
Wow.
So
That's very big.
when we put our life as a river and we are the water and the stones are the obstacles and problems,
That's
when we try to hit it hard, we will splash, we'll tire ourselves. But if we know our nature, which is just to flow, we'll make our ways around the stones and the boulders. Even if we fall from no matter what height, we'll still be in our one shape. So we have to let go this conditioning or this learning, go with the flow. If everyone is becoming an engineer, you also become an engineer or a doctor or a lawyer or a CA, chartered accountant. You find your own flow. Just be your flow. You
Be
do
the
not have to follow. Yeah, just be the flow. You don't have to follow anyone or fight it. Because when you surrender yourself, you like as this small dog came to you, Kim, as a reminder that you are a fighter, or you have to let it go. That could be true in your world, if you want to let it go or you have to fight it. But that is a reminder to your own thought. So it's just that be the flow. You don't have to go with the flow. Just in one direction where all the sheep are going. You don't have to go in that direction. You can make your own way, whichever way you want.
Maybe too, it's just like you were talking about being in the water. It's okay. You can be wet. You're in the water. But just because you're not going in the flow doesn't mean that you're not making success or floating, right? Just because I'm not going in the same flow doesn't mean I'm going to drown. And I think in having this conversation with you, that's made me realize that just because I don't go with the flow doesn't mean I'm drowning. And I think
You are the flow, Kim. There's no drowning or standing outside. You are the flow. You are flow of your
exactly,
own life.
it's my own flow. It's just because you're not flowing with me doesn't mean it's not. It's just, but again, I gotta figure out what to do with my little new pet. So it was a good reminder. I needed, it has said on my dresser, I've needed this to remind me that it's not always healthy to sink your teeth into everything, and because everything doesn't taste very good. But I agree with you. We are taught to go with the flow. What a good download. What a good download. I like that terminology too. I just downloaded something.
I use that too. Yeah.
I am trying to refer it in a scientific way that everyone understands.
Yes.
Rakesh and I are making you work hard, aren't we?
You got to download the new software. That's the way I look at it from a computer
Update.
background.
Good idea.
Yeah, updates. And
We're
today,
downloading the
again,
new
I got you. Today, I got my kajal to show you how they look in India. This is something. This is short of pencil, and this black thing comes out,
Yes.
and we put it in our eyes.
And what was the last thing? I didn't hear the last part. The
This
black
is
ink?
yeah, we put it in our eyes.
Oh yeah,
Ah, yeah.
To make the eyes pop.
yeah.
Yeah.
And the little babies to keep the evil away.
Yes.
Yes.
So I got my pen today to just show him.
Yeah.
And I learned the English word for this. They call it lamp dark.
Lamp dark. Okay. Okay.
We got to get that at the dollar store, Kim.
Well, you know what? I'm going to go look. We'll talk to them about that because that's, certainly something that they can get. But there are reasons for these things because visually, and we need to sometimes see or feel or touch what's happening. That's what I'm learning from Coach Kumar. But what she's teaching us today is how to download our new firmware for spirituality so that we can feel better about ourselves and focus. I'm loving this. Download our new firmware.
Great. Yeah, it's a great visual for me.
New OS.
Yeah, new operating
New OS.
system.
I just downloaded my new OS today.
There you go. Yeah.
You know what? I think we just got you a new title there. We got
Software
a new tagline.
engineer.
We're downloading new OS. Right? Our operating system is for spiritual.
We've been upgraded.
I've been upgraded. I got upgraded today with Coach Kumar.
Kim 2.0.
But that's too what's part of the spirituality of healing is laughing, and this is fun. So this is good. I love the ball thing, and don't hate me right now, but right now when I make this energy ball, I'm making it in my mind just like they do in those comics that they're going to take and throw it at the evil, because in my mind I gotta.
That works.
I'm at war, right? And I'm doing more than trying. Like where I could feel my heartbeat in my finger, but now it's F. I can feel it in the F, and that's not where you want to be in life. You don't see, Coach Kumar. I'm learning. When you feel your pulses, I think this is what you're teaching us. Is it's telling you how you need to heal.
Yeah.
Yourself.
Which part of you needs the healing more?
Right. So if you take these practices and you start feeling that you've got fear, then you need to focus on what's causing that fear. And there are spiritual ways to practice and do things to calm you so that you can focus.
Yeah.
And I thank you for that, because I'm going to tell you what, when you first taught me this, my hands couldn't even make this.
I couldn't either.
I couldn't do it. I do it every day. And now it just happens, right? I'll just be sitting there, and next thing I know, I'm doing this. The other time is at the grocery store, I do this the whole time. I don't touch anything. I just walk around and do this. I mean, and people go, well, how do you get groceries? So somebody else does that for me. I do a lot of namastes. I went that. But no, I do. I hold my hands together when I go out to places, and I do that. I hold them together so I don't touch any, because I was a touchy-feely person. I had to touch everything. I mean, everything. Worse than a bull in a China house, because I had to touch. And this is teaching me new habits, good habits, right?
So Kim, when you're talking about touching thing, I'll tell you what. In India, a lot of people they eat their lunches and dinners using fingers without spoon.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And that gives you a different feeling altogether. It's not about hygiene and all, but it gives you will eat only whatever you feel like. You won't overeat as well. And there's a lot of scientific impacts of that. I think Rakesh ji knows better than about that, because it's very popular in South. I mean, people used to have that banana leaf, and then
they do this in Africa too. And there are rituals with Japanese. They eat sometimes with chopsticks, but normally the same way they eat everything with their fingers, right?
And also eating on the floor too.
And grounded. They eat grounded. They don't eat in a chair. They eat grounded. So
it's like people have the pizza with their hands. I mean, you can't. It's difficult to have it, and you won't feel like that you are having a pizza with the fork and knife. So it's like that only.
Yeah. So the traditional
Everybody
way
ate
of
with their
eating.
hands. When we started as human beings, everybody ate with their hands.
Yeah.
Then when you found you need to wash your hands, and when you lived in Europe and it was in winter, you still had to eat, and you needed to get cold to melt the water because it was ice. So you said, okay, if I have to wash my hands, and it's awfully uncomfortable to wash your hands in ice or get the hot water, then you said, okay, I'll just have a fork and a knife and a spoon. And so that's how things. And in China, you had chopsticks, and in Japan, sort of feed-on culture from China. If you look at history, you can see the way we've evolved. And in lands like India, where the water wasn't plenty, we had so many rivers, we just washed our hands and said, "What's the big deal?"
Right.
But in other places where they had extreme climate, it was a big deal. you know.
Right.
So that's as far as eating is concerned, and certainly the feel of the food made a difference, because we lived in hot countries. If something was rotten, you could feel it.
Yeah.
So it was important for us.
Well, you know, my problem is severely OCD growing up. If my hands got sticky, I freaked out. So I didn't like touching my food and eating it.
Same thing. I wouldn't eat mangoes for a long time because it was
Too
sticky.
juicy.
I know. I'm the same way.
But I tell you, for mangoes, I mean, there's a very interesting trick. I mean, you just have to cut it and then use a glass and then peel it. So all
Yeah.
the mango will be in the glass basically without touching anything, and then you can have it.
I didn't know that. So.
I didn't either. Okay, you're going to have to show us how to
Or
do
television.
on TV. You're going to have to go get one to show us. And Jim, you have a question for Coach Kumar.
Oh, I do. I did want to just make one comment, and then I will ask my question. Kimberly, you know, because you were always touchy, and I was the opposite. You know, I was very visually oriented, so I processed things in my brain or in my head, and so I developed the capacity to be in touch with my body. So I wasn't getting stimulus from my senses by touching. I was just doing it visually. And so I would be inspecting things with my eyes, and then the consequence of that is that you lose a sense of your body. And so maybe you were more in touch with your body physically by touching, and there may have been some pluses and minuses to that. And just by me being more visual and mental, there are pluses and minuses to that. But my question really was, and you mentioned it earlier, Kimberly, you were talking about Reiki, and I was very fascinated by Reiki, and I got the level 1 certificate to be a teacher, and I wanted to get a level 2. And Coach Kumar, you're certified at what level? I can't remember.
Grandmaster.
Yes. So you know, we're talking about a beginner to a grandmaster here, but the second level certification, the first class was just me and all women. And so, and Reiki is about energy and healing and touching. And, you know, the women could touch me, no problem. But when it was my turn to touch them, I freaked out. And so I thought, you know, is this a question of intimacy with me? You know, I'm afraid to be intimate? Or is it because I'm married and I don't want to be touching women in an intimate way? What is this barrier that I have? And I didn't show up for the second class. I just completely gave up, even though I'm so attracted to the whole thing. But I couldn't overcome that barrier. And so I wanted to ask Coach Kumar for some advice about that.
Okay. So I can hear my own voice. Just one second. So what I wanted to share, Jim, with you was a lot of conditioning and learning. As a healer, we need to shed that away. Okay. And secondly, when you are healing someone in any form of modalities, you are healing the soul and not the body. And the soul is gender free. In one of my lifetime, I was a warrior. And I do not remember my religion, but with my clothes, I think I was a Mughal warrior. I was a princess, a Hindu princess in South India in one of my births, and a Christian girl in Italy in another. So, and today when you ask me, who am I? Am I a Hindu girl or a Mughal warrior or a Christian girl in Italy? So my soul weak, and yeah. So you are healing my soul and the scars on it. You're not healing my body. So the best thing what I tell people with all this thing is that you have to detach. You have to learn to detach to attach. Detach from the physical appearance and attach to the soul when you're doing the healing.
That is so
That
powerful.
is the place where all the healing happens.
You know, too, I feel like we're taught culturally not to connect with each other as well, and that's a fear in itself. As far as, you know, shame, they use shame, but one of the things that helped me overcome some of this was, I hate saying this, I mean, salsa dancing. I took salsa dancing classes to learn how to dance a little bit. And one of the things they learn to teach you is not to be afraid to touch your body.
Yeah.
That it's not a shameful thing. That's just, and they did it with music and fun and doing some things, and it wasn't offensive. I think that's the whole thing. And Coach Kumar's right. We have to release this gender association and realize that we're not a label. She has said this more than once in our sessions, that we're not labels, and we need to get rid ourselves of labels. But we're culturally, that's not the way we're trained. And maybe in another lifetime, when we don't have labels, that won't be an issue. But I agree with you, Jim, though. There are times that I freak out too. I don't want to be, and I just blame it on my OCD. And everybody goes, well, how can you be a touchy-feely person if you got, I can touch things that don't look sticky.
Yeah.
That's why in a glass house, oh, that's pretty. No, I'm just kidding. But Coach Kumar, you're right. And thank you for sharing. This is brilliant. And I'm glad that you brought that up, because sometimes I have that feeling of deja vu, that I've either experienced this feeling before, but I know I haven't had it in this lifetime, or in dreams, I sense these things that I have done something. I think maybe too, sometimes that's where fear evolves in our mind and heart of something that we don't understand. Why do we fear this? But perhaps it was an experience from another soul lifetime.
Yeah.
Well, Rakesh, I have my theory about this, but what's the scientific evidence for this past life phenomenon?
I've no idea, because I was just talking to my sisters the other day, and I was telling them about this dream I had when I was living in Rwanda. I lived in a house which is Rwanda has a history. It was originally a German colony, then it was taken over by the Belgians after World War One. And I had this dream. I didn't know about this when I lived there. I was living in a house which is owned by somebody, and I had this dream that I found a passport of a Nazi, war pilot, and I can remember that passport with such vividity. It is such clarity and such vividness that I was just talking to my sisters about it, and I said subsequently, a few days ago, I had a dream where I saw a document in Urdu, which is the Persian script, and I really don't I've not had the opportunity to see such documents in my life. And my mother wrote Urdu because she grew up in a state where Hyderabad, where there was Urdu taught. But I've never seen something in handwriting, So I was talking about this, and I have no clue where these images came into my head. I know the dreams are kind of an unrolling of experiences that you've had. It's a way where your brain gets rid of unnecessary visual inputs, and sometimes even auditory and
Sure, that's one of the reasons for dreams.
Yeah. So it's sort of a filtering process to get rid of just like you clean your memory in a computer. So
clear your cache, Ankit.
Yes, you just clear the cache. So it's something like that, and I have no clue where this comes from. So I was quite intrigued about your story about the. I'm not saying it's not true. I'm just saying what you related here about the Mughal and the Christian girl and the Hindu person. To me, first of all, we've evolved these. Okay, I'm going off at a tangent. I'm crazy, but
No. We all do.
I had a cousin who would do this thing. He would go to some seer and he would say, you were this in your previous birth and that. And I would giggle because he would come and tell my mother all these things. And I would giggle at him.
Any scientist would.
I heard it when I was a 11, 12-year-old, and I would say, this guy, he was actually a cousin, but much older. We used to call him uncle. I would giggle at him and say, this guy's nuts, He was an aeronautical engineer, He's nuts. But when I got this dream in Rwanda, I started saying, well, maybe there's something to it. And then recently, this other dream. So I've no idea. I really, now the whole, it's upended my worldview as far as this is concerned. I'll just share that because I really, short answer is I don't know.
I've got a question though. Do you remember the passport very vividly that you could share details with me and I can do a background check?
Not the number, but the face of the guy in his Nazi uniform.
Uh-huh.
And from ever since then, I've been extremely interested in the World War II. Extremely interested. I know World War from the Russian point of view, from the German point of view, from the British point of view, from the Italian point of view, and even from the American point of view, and how the money flowed, what weapons were used, all that. It has been an obsession since then. It had never been an obsession before that.
Yes. Well, it sounds like to me that dream was like Kimberly's bulldog. It just magically happened. And I don't believe in coincidence.
For a reason to remind you something.
Yes.
Right? That
I have no idea.
There's something there that in your mind is the curiosity. You're a curiosity mind, and I love it. But I think that something's trying to tell you to solve a puzzle, right? Just like something's trying to tell me maybe I need to keep fighting, or maybe I need to, find a different battle, let go of this one because you have a tendency of being a pit bull. So maybe these are just things, but this coming to you in a dream, that's very interesting to me. If you can remember the person's name, I'll go do background search. And
don't let the bulldog out, Ricky.
So here's the thing. I would love to help solve this one because the World War II has my curiosity up as well, because we've been reading about it a lot, and celebrating the anniversary of the end of the war.
And there's so few people left from that.
Right. And actually, I think I saw a man get knighted yesterday by the Queen.
100 years old. Yeah.
Right, who was from the World War II. So, and he had all of his medals and everything. And I bet if I go look in the National Geographic, he was probably one of those in there. But, history dictates to me a lot of what our future is. And people will tell you that when they teach you that. But then when the leaders get up there, they tend to forget, let's don't worry about what happened in history. And there's some things you should not worry about, but you should use history as a lesson.
Yes. That is true, because we are so close to another war.
Another world war.
It's going on now,
another war.
But, we do need the history.
I think war will not happen.
So go ahead.
Go ahead, Jim. Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say that history forms us, but it can also inform us. So if we approach it that way, it has its value.
Yeah. So Rakesh, maybe your concern is the fact that we're repeating history.
It is possible, because I also saw this Australian gentleman. I think it was Kevin Rudd, the former Prime Minister, who was talking about the way China is growing and the way the US is an existing power, and how the First World War was Britain versus Germany, rising power versus an existing power, and that sort of thing. And that got me thinking, my God, do we even realize how close we are to another war? And this was before Trump started his big,
saber rattling.
But the news of the story is that they all are waiting for US elections, and that will decide whether the war will happen or not. It's all about It's
No
all
pressure.
about-
No pressure.
It's not one person.
But
He
I do
has
love the
I'll
idea.
tell you,
He
it's
has
why
his
it's possible
support.
because if the other person comes in the power, maybe someone else, so the combination changes, and that person might go for compromise as well, because there are a lot of international treaties going around. I'm not sure whether you know what's happening in the Indian side of the continent, but I mean, China is doing a lot of things which is which never happened earlier. So you never know, and then now 4 or 5 countries have come together that they are creating some kind of a powerful kind of a couple or something like that, which includes Japan, Australia, Britain, and then US, India, and then a couple of more countries are backing up as well. So,
But
and
Ankit, before we go off on that tangent, let's make the most use of Coach Kumar's time, because I loved your use of the words, you have to detach in order to attach, because I love that kind of phrasing, that construction, because I think of often I have to forget in order to remember. I have to forget the way I was trained to remember the way I was supposed to behave. And there's things like that kind of construction. I also have this construction that I call addition by subtraction. And so if I subtract something out of my life, it can add to it. And so, Kimberly, maybe if you subtract this legal hassle out of your life, you will find that you've added to it. Even though you
Wait,
might
I'll
think of it as
around.
surrendering.
I survive.
I don't know.
I
I
haven't
just
found the right
throwing
middle.
it out there.
I agree with you. No, I agree. And I appreciate you guys letting me air this out. It's not anything I'm ashamed of, so that's why this is what I tell people. I've done nothing wrong, so I have no problems talking about it. I'm not trying to hide it. The only reason why I have not put it on air is it's a lot of the evidence I probably won't be able to use in court if I needed it, because if you can't do that. So, but now I'm to the point of it's just not worth it anymore. So I would rather expose it and move on with my life.
Yes.
And by exposing it, maybe I'll save a lot of other people rather than just save myself. Does that make sense?
So that's Spiritual Saturday for you.
Yeah.
So, I might not be able to save myself, but maybe the end result, like most people in history who, have to do things they don't want to do, their result ended up saving more people.
So we have another phrase, take one for the team.
How familiar are all of you with the life of Genghis Khan? He had been enslaved more than once. He had his young child bride taken away from him, raped, and a child produced from that, and he adopted that child as his own. If you have been, Hitler wrote about, Mein Kampf, which initially I thought was my camp. It's actually my struggle.
Struggle,
It
yes.
was nothing in front of what Genghis Khan had been through. And, people see Genghis Khan as somebody who was very cruel, but he was the first person who started a meritocracy in Mongol society. Mughal, by the way, is a corruption of Mongol. And he treated that child just like his other sons. No different. When it was coming to divide the kingdom, he gave a portion of the kingdom to that son and equally to all the other sons. So if you look at each person's life experience, somewhere I would say he learned to detach from this is my son and that is not my son. And I see in what you say, Coach Kumar, is that there is a reflection. There is this part of history that we choose to ignore. We valued Genghis Khan for his military prowess, but we do not value him for the justice and the kind of worldview that he went through, his experiences. He went through all of this and came out sane.
No, and
There's
that's something to
beautiful-
be said about finding, because that's a very, very powerful person to be able to do that. To be able, just like we have, what is it? Was it King Solomon who, very, very, it takes a very, it's not just smart.
Wisdom.
It's yes. And that's very rare to find nowadays because everybody's not about that. But in finding these spiritual ways, it's helping me get through this.
Yeah.
And having these practices to do every day, they're not big to do. They actually help me find where my weak points are and where I need to focus. And so this has been a blessing. This has been a blessing. And every morning when I go pray, I don't just pray for God to fix my problems. I also thank him for the things I have for blessings, right?
Yes.
Because if we stop looking at the things we have for blessings, then we stop realizing what we have to live for. And because I say this because the other day I said, I have everything to lose and nothing to gain. And that was, when you say things in that way, it's, why have a battle, right? So I started again, I had to tell myself, look at the things you have and then focus on that rather than focusing on what you're going to lose. Look on what you have and what you have to save. And I think Coach Kumar said that today too, which I'm glad she said that, because boy, that hit home. And I appreciate it. So, and I love this historical talk because I truly believe in these dreams. I mean, Ankit, do you have dreams? You got quiet on us.
I have a lot of dreams, and whatever comes in my mind, in the conscious mind, I mean, so that is something which I dream of. And also, sometime in my dreams, I solve a lot of my day-to-day problems. So if I have some problem which is there in the early morning, or maybe whatever time, maybe I had a dream, and then when I wake up, I mean, the problem is solved because I know how to solve it. And I'm a firm believer, and same thing happened with my daughter as well, because when I see her, and I was like, I mean, she is just quite like what I feel and understand, because whenever we have to react on something, we react in a similar way. She is a child, so she doesn't understand, but I watch her, and then I watch my reaction. It's more similar. But I think dream is a very integral and a very, I mean, what I can say, a very emotional part of my life. And I had a lot of dreams, and you won't believe, I mean, there are a lot of people in my family who are not live anymore, basically. They are not here. They died in like 10, 12, 15, 20 years. But I had a lot of dreams about them until now. And they just come and they said that we are okay, we are doing good, what about you, and everything is fine, and this and that. Just basic talks that they are happy and we are happy. That's it.
So they're not dead to you at all.
No. As long as the person is
So I don't
remembered,
believe it's a
is
power.
alive.
I believe it's a power for me. I mean, I have that power that I can relate to those people. But it's only with that where you have attachment, basically. It's not like that I will talk to everyone else. If you feel for someone, then only you will find them on your dream. And you won't believe, I'm a very big fan of sports and cricket. So we have a dream that what's happening tomorrow. I was just in my mind, I say that okay, I will have this team and I'm the captain and all this stuff. So there are a lot of, it's not just about talking to people, it's a lot of strategical dream as well. So I don't know, but it's something which I enjoy a lot, and that's what happening. But I wanted to ask one thing to Anandi, that for I mean, spirituality, if you talk generally with everyone, it's more about prayers and it's more about yoga and healing and all those stuff. But what I believe is that if I am happy to do my work, and if I have a peace of mind doing anything like that, for me, that is also spirituality. What happens is that when I'm down and out and I don't want to talk to anyone and things like that, I just have a cup of coffee, I go outside, don't talk to anyone, and just take my pen and book and then just write it down things. And I stay there for 2 hours, but I ended up staying for 10 hours. And for me, that was a spirituality session, because I want my own time. So I don't know, I mean, whether it's right or not, but I do a lot of things like this. And especially when I'm alone in some other city or country or state, I usually take one day out and then I sit on my own. That's it.
Yeah. So as Rakesh said earlier, that whatever we do, there's one of the basic reason to do it is the happiness.
Yeah.
So if you find your happiness in writing the journal, sipping a cup of coffee and sitting alone, that is right for you. That might not be right in my world or anyone else's world. But if that is giving you happiness, and if that is giving you the zeal to come back again and fight it harder or calm you down, then that's fine with you. Because I always tell people that do it if it feels right for you. I do not impose it. Like, I have done it, so you also have to do it. It's not going to work, because one of the sessions we discussed that we do not live in one world. It just say that we live on the earth. We all have our own worlds and where we live. So if that feels right in your world, then it's good for you and you should do it more often. And coming back to Kim's point where she said that she counts her blessings, how I do it is that I write a gratitude journal every day.
Oh.
And I say I'm grateful for the water in the tap today, because a lot of people don't get water. And maybe I am grateful and thankful for uh, having the ability to see. A lot of people don't have it. And then there are a lot of things which keeps coming, which I wished for and they come true. And then I write it also. So there's something called, one of my mentor taught us, and it's part of her teachings. There's something called gratitude journal, and then something called intentional gratitude. So for you, Kim, if you want whatever, what is that? Pen, paper. Okay.
It's a pen. I was just writing
I
down
was just
gratitude
grabbing it.
journal.
I saw everybody else grabbing their pens and paper.
Yeah, and
So for
it
you,
turned out to be a
Kim,
pen
yeah.
with a sword.
Yeah.
I've seen one of those. I've seen a
I
pen
wrote
with
it down.
a sword.
One of my I decorated my diary very well, and my partner, I was just talking to him. I said, I want something very good for my diary. What do I do? And then I said, I have a thought in my head, but I want a picture. So once I'll go on the break right after this talk, then I will bring that diary and show it to you. There's a beautiful girl sitting on a swing, and the quote says, "You are the best person to write your life story."
Wow. Okay. So inspirational visual points.
What does it mean that mine is this?
I have this.
That's okay.
Okay, so I'm going to feel really, really ignorant here. But what is the difference between intentional gratitude and gratitude?
I am explaining that to you. So on one page you write 5 things you are grateful, like water in the tap, maybe whatever, ability to see, the food in your plate, or you're not infected in this pandemic. That's one thing to be very grateful for. And the intentional gratitude is something that you're already thanking for something which you want to happen in your life, and putting it in a way that it has already been finished. So if I want my business to flourish, so I would say I'm really grateful and thankful that my businesses are flourishing, money is flowing, all abundance is there, as if it has already been completed. I do not have to write it at when this will happen, then I will be grateful. It is just that I am already grateful that I have all these many clients in my life, and my businesses are flourishing, my career is on its peak, I'm happy, I'm abundant, I'm healthy. So you can write all that. So whatever your intention is, put it in a way that you are already showing your gratitude towards your intention.
That's wonderful.
I just wrote it.
Good point.
That's wonderful.
Very good.
You know which one I wrote? I wrote the first intentional. I've already wrote all of the things I am thankful for, and sight is one of them. When you say things like that, I thank God every day for that, because when I could not use my arms and legs, I thank God every day that I could still see and I could still talk and hear. So you're absolutely right. There are so many things we take for granted every day that we need to be thankful for those things first, because those are the things that are going to give you the strength to do the intentional gratitude.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
That's a tremendous takeaway.
I agree.
There is one more thing, Anandima, and everyone I think believes that as well, that whenever they start a business, they wanted to have a name which is flourishing for the business. And is it something related to spirituality, or is it just a different aspect of life? Or
So people believe in numerology. People believe in astrology that start your name with K and it will have a lot of abundance. That all comes in your head, and your intention matters. So whatever your intentions are, see, Ankit, no matter what business are you doing, you have to put your hard work. You have to do. So I do not take a Sunday off. It's like 24 across 7 I'm working. Or you as an entrepreneur, you or Rakesh, we do not take off. Yeah, we can't say that this is my holiday. Or if we have to take 1 day break, we have to inform 10 people who are related to the business and stuff that please can you back me up? Or is there anything important which I'm gonna miss? So if there's something important, then I will not take the leave, or maybe I will accommodate it somewhere. So there's no escape from the hard work in our businesses. But yeah, people believe in numerology and other stuff, and I also do believe in it. My birthday sums up as one, and I feel that yes, I am a leader. Number one is a leader, so yes, I am the leader. So if that gives you happiness and courage to move forward, then believe in everything you want. I'm not saying that do not believe in numerology or astrology or anything else.
Yeah.
If that is giving you strength, if that is not taking your energy and your ability to think away, then that's good for you.
Yes.
But if
And-
somebody, see, I do not wear any of the stones in my finger, and there
Yeah.
are people, yeah, there are people who will have 10, and there was a time, I'm not denying it, there was a time when I used to wear some stones, rings, and stuff. Yeah. So I do not say that do not, but after a point, it's more than religion or more than spirituality, it becomes fear. One day I just lost one of my pearl ring and I was hell scared that shit. Now this ring has gone and it means something bad is going to happen with me. And then I broke my leg. So and then I connected because my ring got like I just it, it, it it was not there and I lost it somewhere, and that's why this bad thing has happened. I sprained my ankle and the hamstring are broken, and I related to it, and I made it a belief for a longer period of my life that I have to wear all these stones and everything. Now I only have crystals and I have rudraksh. That's all.
I
wonderful.
have.
What is this?
crystal that- What
This is-
crystal is that?
I have two crystals that I carry in my pocket all the time. This one.
Wow.
What are the crystals?
I'm not prepared to answer that question right now.
Okay,
But
no problem.
but
I think
For
one
me-
is blue. One is blue.
one is blue. Yes,
I think then it looks like aquamarine. I'm not sure, but yeah.
that's close.
And-
Yes, it's very close to aquamarine. It's very close.
Yeah.
But
Amethyst? Possibly.
this one is for my root chakra,
Ah, okay.
Okay.
Very nice.
Amethyst
and this
Very
one
nice.
is for my third eye. Yes,
Rakesh, this is the amethyst one. This is
Yes.
purple in color.
Yes.
Purple in color,
very
yeah.
close. Yeah.
I have a
prefer-
stone.
I prefer to carry a pen.
I have a stone which my mum gave me. It's a sapphire, and so I always wear it. Yeah. Because mum gave it to me. She said
Of
it's
course.
nice for you, but that's all.
But you were talking about this belief
But
system,
it
and
spiritually
we have-
connected you. Excuse me, I'm sorry. It spiritually connected you to your mother, and that's why you did that.
very powerful. But we have it, and I think science has proven this: the placebo effect. When if I believe it's helping me, it helps me.
Yeah,
This is a medical fact.
Yes.
that's true.
And on the spiritual front, Jib, as I don't remember where I shared it on this platform or not, the universe is having a big magnifying object, instrument, not an object. So believe universe as an object which magnifies things. It has a big photocopying machine with it, which magnifies it. So whatever your beliefs are, intentions are, they go up there. They are just photocopied, xeroxed in like thousands and million times, and those are sent back to you.
Yes. That's
So
that's a
when-
very that's a
when-
very good visual for me.
So last time when we discussed in last session only, then when our intentions are good, uh, we say this, that the universe starts conspiring and sends the resources, whatever it is, emotional, physical, monetary. You'll get a house help if you need a house help, or maybe your court case will be solved, or your physical health will start improving. So whatever it is, you will start getting the resources. Ankit, you must remember this dialogue. किसी चीज को इतनी शिद्दत से चाहो कि पूरी कायनात उसे मिलाने की ताकत साजिश में लग जाती है, which means that whatever your intentions are, it universe gonna conspire and give it to you.
Yeah.
No, I completely agree, because I'm always in search mode, and whatever my vision is and whatever I want to do, if I keep on learning and searching about it, I'll get that thing. It's just a matter of time, and maybe time is what is make you patient and make you feel, and then only you'll value that thing, basically. Because if I get something just whenever I ask for, that doesn't make sense to me. So that is what it is, basically. And I think we have to keep on looking for new things, and searching new things, keep on learning, keep on inventing, and keep on discovering a lot of things. That is what it is. And I still remember one of the quotes from one of our scientists in India, Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam, and he said that there are a lot of rituals, there are a lot of astrology, everything is there, but till the time Earth is moving, Sun is moving, Moon is revolving, everything is fine, so you don't have to worry about all those things.
Yeah.
It's simple.
Yes. Yeah. And we
But
can't
Ankit,
control it anyways. What's the point? We can't control it. Yeah. So why worry?
Don't worry. Be happy. Don't worry.
That's tomorrow's musical Sunday.
No, don't we have Zach coming up with some jazz?
Yeah, oh, that's true. Okay. Good
Every
point.
time I think of Zach, I hope he's listening, but every time I think of him, that's the first song that comes to my brain. Don't worry. That guy's got more problems in this world probably that hit him every day. Every day.
He doesn't show it.
He doesn't. He not only doesn't
Can't
show
tell
it,
by looking at him.
he doesn't take life. He just says, "I got it," and I want the world to pray for him, because he's got some things that he's got to take care of in August. So we all need to be putting our prayers to him so that he can heal. But and I know he probably didn't want me to share this with the world, but hey, you know what? I know he's worried, but when I see him, the first thing that pops in my brain is, don't worry, be happy. And Zach and I, we were going to start a TV show called Space Talk. And it's because we both have this curiosity about space, because I think spiritually some of our answers are there. We haven't opened our mind to accept them or see them. But every night we can look into the sky and see the stars. We can see we can see Mars.
Einstein didn't have the technical capacity to see and prove his theories, but he did it in his head with thought experiments. And he imagined these things, and they turned out, when we got the technical capabilities, we could prove them. They were true. But this is the universe. The universe does not have its secrets. We're just not capable of understanding them.
It just blow your guys' minds away that you could read some of the very, very old science fiction books, and we've made almost everything these guys created that people said, oh, that's just science fiction, that's crazy.
Yeah.
We've literally made every one of those things happen. And in fact, next year, you're not only going to see self-driving cars, you're going to see self-driving flying cars.
That's what I'm waiting for.
Yeah, I already
the Jetsons.
Tesla, yeah.
I've got it on interview with me and the chief managing officer of and chief technical officer of Ford, and he wanted me to do the test drive and I was like, no.
Wow.
And that's where our jobs will be.
I have it on interview.
Air traffic controllers.
Like, okay. I got, but it goes back to, I gotta have my hands on that.
You'll be hanging on to those flying cars.
Right, if you've ever seen that movie I, Robot with Will Smith.
Yeah.
No, I haven't seen it, but I want to see it. Yeah.
You need to watch it, because every time I think about where we are today, that's where we are. And Here's my argument with that, because I was on my walk yesterday and I go, oh God, it's coming. It's really coming. And the reason why I think it will not work once they regulate it to make it work is because of they're too dangerous for pedestrians. In other words, right now you have the will to be able to see a pedestrian and stop a car, see a bike rider and stop a car. But that car, it can't sense that somebody's in front of it. It has no sensibility for that. They claim it does, but it doesn't, unless you are microchipped. So the guy in a wheelchair crossing the street, he's not going to see you unless you're microchipped or the wheelchair's microchipped. And odds are you need to be microchipped. And today, humans just don't want to be microchipped, right?
The world.
So, but people are getting to that point, because that woman in Switzerland said, screw all you guys that are pansies saying talk, we need to. She just jammed the thing in her arms. It's there. It's done. All right. Let's stop talking about it. That's the difference between men and women sometimes, is we're the ones that want to get the job done. We clean the house. We stop talking about, stop hanging out on the front porch talking about
it.
Right? The house needs clean, honey. Clean it. So, there goes my southern accent.
I did want to cycle back a little bit to our past life experiences, because we're all familiar with Dr. Carl Jung, right?
Yeah,
Kinda?
Yeah, we know.
People binge watch TV. I used to binge read, and I read so much Freud. And Civilization and Its Discontents is definitely recommended. But Freud is about sickness, and Jung was about health. And he believed in a collective unconscious, so that all of these things, we would have archetypical dreams, and all of these things, everyone had them. And how could that possibly be, that we would have this shared memory, this collective unconsciousness? And I think if we go back far enough, we were all swinging in the same trees.
Of course.
And, yeah.
We're all from the same tree, actually. If you actually listen to some of the conversations we had in the very beginning with IBM TV, and we would talk about all of our different religions, we're all still from the same tree. And one of the points I was trying to get back to is we all tend to think, when we read these theories from people about the spiritual nature and does that really exist, none of the things we do today existed and people wrote about it.
Right.
So why couldn't some of this exist, right? We just opened up our minds.
Even our scientists today, they think they're creating a vacuum, and they're not. There's still a force within that vacuum that we do not have the capability to detect. So we think it doesn't exist.
Okay, let me explain something to you. They think they're developing something all great and wonderful, and then tomorrow somebody will prove them wrong. And so, just be mindful, like what you've always been teaching me about how you do, what is that thing that you always do?
Don't let praise go to your head, and don't let criticism go to your heart.
And that's what I try to focus on, that, because sometimes things that we invent and we think are going to save the world doesn't. Right. And you have to, and I've seen that drive people crazy. Literally, people will go crazy because they think they've done something so great for the world. So
this is why we need humility, because we still know so little. We think we have made all these technological advances, and we are still at the very beginning of understanding.
But I think that's why just the simplicityness of going back to something very simple, and that's finding that spiritual healing, so that we can focus on what's really valuable in life. Was that invention to invent the atom bomb really valuable? Or not? And then the people who built it carried a lot of shame and blame in their hearts for years, right? And
they weren't the ones that used it for
no, but you still, when you invent something that somebody uses for so much damage, I'm going to tell you right now, it will drive you to places you don't want to go, because you were doing it for one reason and they used it for something else. Yeah. And I've seen that destroy people.
But if they weren't the ones that developed it, somebody would have.
But you can't tell that to an inventor.
I know.
You can't. Okay. But what you can do is help them find spiritual healing.
There you go.
And that's what I want to reach out to people, is no matter what we do in life or invent in life, one, take a look at your intentions, right? Just because it was used for something else, but look at the true intentions of what you're doing, and then get back on track. Find a Coach Kumar and put your life back in focus.
Everybody needs to Coach Kumar in their life.
And then, but what's funny is don't just listen. Okay, don't sit on the front porch and talk about it. Do it. Right? Even if you're just going to prove it's wrong. That's what I tell people sometimes. I'll go, okay, fine, do it and prove me wrong, please. Do it so we can settle this matter, because in my heart of hearts, I truly believe that things like this are helpful or good. But if you don't believe it, don't just put me down and talk about it. Do it and prove it one way or the other. Validate.
Lower the tax rates in Kansas and see what happens. Sorry.
You know what? In 3 weeks, I hope you guys are going to see me not laughing hysterical in prison, but laughing because I've moved my life on.
There you go.
But sometimes you can't just cut that cord and let the thing sink. You have to wrap it up properly and settle it.
Sure.
And people don't understand that about me. I know I had attorneys when I had to kind of shut down my telephone business. My attorneys go, file bankruptcy and be done with it like everybody else. And I go, they say, what does bankruptcy cost me to file? And they told me, and I go, so I can take that money and pay off these bills over here. Instead of paying you to take me to court to say I'm not going to pay these guys, I can easily settle out all the debt, and everybody gets to pay everybody. And the cycle of this damage doesn't bleed out everyone else. And I can walk away hanging my head high instead of low. And they go, but it's so much easier to file bankruptcy. And you know what? They were right.
And Trump did it 6 times.
Right. They were absolutely right. It would have been so much easier for me to sign but I didn't. But I'm going to tell you what, it was a great learning experience.
You're 1 in a million too.
It was a tremendous battle. It was. But I could look myself in the mirror every day and say, I tried. I didn't screw anybody intentionally. I made sure everybody had a job by the time they left. And I made every attempt to pay every debt off. But those who didn't work with me, those who tried to make it an issue so that you would go file bankruptcy, they ended up losing. And what they did was they lost the battle because I learned to read the laws to fight them. And they used the laws, every loophole in the law back then. And this, I think, why Nick and I clicked so well, because I knew every one of the laws that he was talking about to save people from losing their home. I knew them right off the top of my head. Well, why didn't they do that? He goes, how did you know about that? Oh, I got experience. Why didn't they do it? So
the school of hard knocks.
It was, but it was the right hard knocks, because I can reach out and help people with poverty not lose their dignity and legally not have to be indebted for the rest of their lives if you know how to do it. And I know the steps, right? Yeah. But a lot of people, especially lawyers who do these things, and people in the IRS and people, they don't like for people like me to know these things and teach them. They really, really don't. They want people to live in poverty. They want people to have to file bankruptcy. They say they don't, but they do. So again, getting back to, I was able to fight those battles because I had a lot of strength and energy from a lot of spiritual practice and a lot of spiritual in me, because I just worked, I had gotten over working with the Japanese very close to me in my life. And in fact, it was really strange, Kit, that you bring this up about the people who died before you. People who died before me would come to me in my dreams and tell me not to give up. They would be so real. I could feel them hold my hand or whisper in my ear, we're here for you. And one of them is a Japanese friend of mine. He died so young and nobody could understand it, but I could feel his presence every day. And so I think these are things that I forgot that helped make me the warrior I was to win those other battles. But again, to know when to cut your losses too. So So I
Coach Kumar, you told me in order to attach, I must detach. And what did you tell me to do to detach?
So when I ask you to detach, you do not have to see the physical appearance or the physical body of the person you're healing or you are talking to. You are talking or healing a soul. There is not a body or a gender lying in front of you. So that's how you detach from the physical appearance and attach to the soul in front of you.
And the other thing you told me, if I was understanding you, was I need to be grounded before I start.
Yeah.
Because I cannot detach it unless I'm first grounded.
Yes.
And so I'm incorporating. You said you used to do it every day. Now it's down to 3 days a week for you. I have to do it every day. I have to ground before I come on IBM TV. Otherwise, I'm not my best self. And I have to ground before I try, if I try again, which I think I will, to practice Reiki. I don't think I can do it.
Way to do it, Jim, that you do not attach. The best way to do it is also do not attach to one particular thing in your life. Just make it a practice to do the grounding work, because you need the grounding in everything you do.
Yes.
What if so for you, you love chess, right? So when you sit there to play chess and after a moment you have a lot of thoughts in your head, what do? You collect everything back in your head and then start playing. So grounding is that sort of work, what you do for yourself.
Yes.
And it affects all spheres of your life, not only one or any particular thing.
And for a person like me, I feel like I'm just beginning to get what you're saying, and I'm just putting it into practice. And at first it's difficult, but then the more I do it, it ever gets easy, but it gets easier to do.
Yeah. So start with 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes. You do not have to sit for longer hours just to pretend to be there. Or people say that fake it until you make it. So fake it for 5 minutes that you are grounded until you actually feel grounded.
Yes. Yes. This helps me. This really has been very helpful for me to try to practice that. And, I think rather than thinking myself as being able to ground, I just think of it as progress. That I'm never going to get perfect at it, but I can make progress. And that's a way of showing compassion to myself, not to have my expectations of me to be perfect, which was what I used to do to myself all the time. If I did something well, I could have done it quicker. If I did something quickly, I could have done it better. And I was always self-critical. And I'm practicing every day not to be so self-critical and to think of progress, not perfection.
Yeah.
How many of you are worried about spellings? I'm nuts about spellings. I get very upset if I see a bad spelling.
You know what? And I can't spell worth a hoot because I was born with dyslexia. So, and if it weren't for Google and Microsoft Word, which gets me into trouble still because I'll go with whatever you want. It gets me into trouble every single time.
Practice not your friend.
I don't know where this started. It hasn't been like that all my life, but over the last so many years, maybe 10 years or so, I've become nuts about spelling. I've become what do you call a spelling police.
Yes.
Yeah. Do you know my best friend's mom? And oh my God, everything I wrote, she policed. I could not believe it. She really, and I love her dearly. And that to me was the best constructive criticism I could get. But
Rakesh can't read our chats.
Lord,
one of Jim's friends wrote something, and I criticized him. I said, "Your spelling is atrocious. Your punctuation is worse." And later on, he said that he's got big fingers, so he can't type very well. And I felt so guilty. So guilty.
That's still not an excuse. Just like
that was just an excuse. The guy was drinking while he was typing. That's why he was so atrocious.
I have that. I know but and I tell myself it's no excuse. I tell myself that every day. Just because I had dyslexia and is no excuse. And we can say that. So in all honesty, as much as you spelling police drive me crazy, I respect you because I wish I had that skill. That is a skill I need to pray for, and that's going to go in my.
Okay, so
It's-
for Kim
it
and
started
Rakesh,
about 15 years ago. I was in a fairly senior position, so people would send me reports, and I would look at it, and I would just zero in on the spelling errors.
Yes. Well,
And
Rakesh, I could,
circulate and
totally
send
relate.
it back.
In my experience, the only C I got in school was in grammar, because grammar was not logical to me. It seemed totally arbitrary. So I wrote this report in my freshman year in college, and the professor kicked it back and he said it was ungrammatical. And I said, well, yeah, but the ideas behind it were excellent. And he said, well, if you make grammatical errors, I'm not going to consider your ideas.
So that's,
And so,
that is wrong. I mean, I sent it back to people, but I had already understood their ideas. And you can only do that when you're a professor. If you're an executive, you can't do that. You still have your ideas important. So
the first time that I paid
do not
attention to
know
grammar, though,
where this came from. I got so angry when people sent me, just circle it, and I would send, this is the wrong spelling, and I don't.
do a
I've tried
Facebook chat
to
with
really try to
chat with Coach Kumar. I recommend doing a Facebook chat with Coach Kumar after the show, because
yeah.
yeah.
I have a question for Kim and Rakesh right now. Both of
Okay.
you answer one by one. Kim, when you think about your ability not to spell any word correctly, how does that make you feel?
Oh,
It makes me feel inadequate. It really does. Like I'm not creditable, just like what Rakesh says. He didn't see or Jim had said it too. My work's not creditable.
Okay.
I taught two dyslexic boys, so I have no problem with dyslexia. But if I understand the root cause, I have no problem. But sometimes I do this terrible thing, which I did with Mr. Bieber, I think his name was, and I feel so bad. I felt so bad after that. And then I said I need to cure myself.
No, because let me tell you, we need more spelling bee police. And the reason why I'm saying this is that when we allow ourselves to present ourselves uneducated, then we have depleted what we should be doing as opposed it really, and again, I do use spell check and it still burns me every time, but it doesn't. So this is what I would like to do, maybe as a pact, because Coach Kumar, I like what you just did. I like to say, all right, if my misspelling's bad, I'm not going to get mad if you come back to me and tell me, can you correct these? Because at the end of the day, it's going to teach me not to do those. And then you don't get mad at me for misspelling, and you accept me that, okay, she just has this problem, disability or not. She has this problem, but we're going to get past this and get down to fixing this so that it is presentable. So even if it's just emails or Facebook, down the road, eventually we learn. But you accept, and I accept your criticism, and we're not upset about it. And that's why I think we can do that.
Yeah. My next question to you, Kim, is, I'm sorry I'm asking a lot of questions today. But
go ahead.
So just take a nice deep breath and just think for a moment that what if one fine morning you wake up and you know that you do not have this ability to spell things wrongly. You have the ability to spell them correctly. How will that make you feel?
Smart.
So these are the two emotions you have to work on. And Rakesh, for you also the same question. When you see a lot of wrong spellings, how does that make you feel?
It makes me angry.
Okay. And what if one fine morning you wake up and you know that all these spelling mistakes are not affecting you anymore or making you angry, how will that make you feel?
I think I would feel a lot better, because anger is inverted weakness.
Oh,
It is when you feel weak and helpless that you get angry. And anger issues, I have anger issues for myself. I need to fix that.
and then there are a couple of more questions which I can ask you with you both, and then you both will be free from these labels of anger and feeling inadequate or not smart. So this is how these are the emotions, because whatever happens, no. So I was like, again, downloading something, and it came to me that if we are said that we we can live without breathing, the first thing what we'll do is we'll stop breathing, because that's a hard work, that's a work. So we do not do anything without any supportive benefit or any underlying benefit to it. Maybe your anger is expression of some other emotions which are hiding beneath it, or maybe Kim's feeling not too smart is associated with some of the events, or maybe someone else telling her that she's not too smart and she has grabbed it too strongly. So there could be these reasons. So they're always a underlying benefit which we latch to, and then we do not want to let it go, and we behave in a certain way.
I'm going to think a good deal about that, why I get angry, and yeah, I need to do a lot.
Anger to me,
Because I
it's the
send you a
second
lot
level.
of my papers and you look at them and you don't get angry at them. You help me fix them, and then that could be good practice, right?
I can correct the spellings for you. I'm very good at that.
See, I'm technically well versed. That's what I was always told, that I was technically well versed, but I failed in grammar and spelling. But I got better when my papers came down to only having to be technical based, pure technical. My white papers were really good, and I had somebody who was a spelling police like you go in and make sure that none of my papers got submitted with poor spelling. So that's how I kind of got around it. But I like your idea of let's focus on how we can fix this and not feel inadequate, but empower ourselves.
Ankit, what do you want?
I would like to share something about spelling. So what happened is that spelling is a very integral part of our learning initially. But since the time we started digital writing and all those things, a lot of people don't write at all. So they in fact forget how to write. They just do the signature and that's it. And now because of the digital thing, we make a lot of mistakes because we expect that AI and machine learning will spell automatically. We just have to say, and then everything should go by that.
Yeah,
So while chatting, we make a lot of mistakes because that's an error. And for that error, we have a slang which is called typo. It's not spelling mistake. We call it typo. And now the important fact is that people or students or kids who are in millennial, basically, who call them millennials, they have a different language of talking basically. And whenever I talk to someone, I was like, I don't know. I mean, in fact, I don't know how to answer it because they have different slangs that they just make it and they understand it. I mean, no one can understand it, and they're also the part of the same.
Yeah, this happens a lot when I have new kids as my clients. So sometimes they are into the session, into meditation, deep into their emotions and feeling, and then they suddenly come up with a word and like, what did the kid say just now? What do I do with it? I myself do not understand this word. How can I help this kid? And then I have to politely say, so sorry, I do not understand what you said. Can you make it simpler for me? And then they come up, oh, I just wanted to say that made me really angry or crazy or something like that. And they will be like, it made my mind go boom. And then what does boom mean? So for me, boom is a bomb blast. For you, it could mean something different.
Yeah,
My experience, Rakesh, is anger is there's always something beneath the anger. So that's a second level emotion, and there's something behind it, underneath it. that's
Yeah.
causing the anger.
I
And I
need
think
to think about
that
it, yeah.
that's what Coach Kumar was trying to get at.
I think
And
because
same with you. You teach your spelling, and that doesn't solve the underlying what's going on underneath you that makes you feel inadequate.
and
You know,
it might when we start delving into our spiritual healing, we might find what those things are. One therapist one time told me to stop going all the way back to my birth to find out why I have all of these problems, to start literally just kind of start chipping away a few years, and see what's causing my problems today. Then we'll focus on that. But let's work on the healing of what we can see. But I agree with you. In any anger, there's always an underlying reason. It's not just because something just happened, it's because it's been there, right? That's why I told somebody, well, you know how they always say, don't let the little things bother your marriage? Those little things can add up to the point that all it takes is one little thing, and by golly,
Yeah.
it can hurt the marriage.
the last straw that broke the camel's
That's
back.
right. So the little things. So we do talk about the big things, right? Because we're always taught, talk about the big things, get it off your chest. But we don't talk about the little things. And then one day,
Yeah, we put it under the rug.
right? And then all of a sudden, it's like, that's it. I'm sorry. You left the cap off the toothpaste. Well, what do you mean? I've been doing that for 20 years. That's what I'm talking about. So, it's the little things. It's the little things that do add up eventually. And I think you need to talk about them every once in a while. Maybe not every day, because eventually, you beat each other up every day. But, sometimes it's and I told this to a young girl one time. I think I scared her half to death. But I told her, don't be afraid to talk about the little things. When people tell you only focus on the big things, don't. Every once in a while, we'll talk, because it's going to be that little thing that makes you snap.
And the pandemic is emphasizing that,
Yeah,
because
it
we're
is.
just sheltering in place together, and so all those little things are starting to grate on each other, and all of a sudden we're
a lot of conflict happens because we start blaming our partners that this is what you did. You left the cap of the toothpaste open. You kept the wet towel on the bed, something like that. But when we just modify our way of communication and tell them that how does that make me feel when you leave the cap open or when you put the towel on the bed? It's going to make a huge difference.
You can just work on one or two items at a time. I had a therapist tell me that one time. Just talk about the one thing, not the 20. Talk about just one, pick one, and then work on it with each other, right? Like you don't hang the towels up neatly in the kitchen. They hang crinkly. And, like about that one.
Is it productive to say, start being logical?
No.
No, it
No,
isn't.
that is the worst thing you could say to. But what you can say is, why do you do this? It kind of bothers me. And the other person can say, well, why do you? And just one item, then you work on it and fix it. And if you can't, if it's just something, then you can say, can we be logical about this? There's a negotiation realm. But I think
I'm laughing at
all of
myself.
these little things under the rug, like they're dust pieces, causes that big mound that you trip over one day. And you can't do that. Eventually you got to, either that or you're going to trip over the rug and that's it, or you're just going to explode. And we don't want that. But I know it's time for us to wrap up. So Coach Kumar to kind of give us our play work to do and wrap up for what we've learned today.
This is my favorite show. I don't want it to wrap.
I know, right?
So this week's home plate is count your breath till 36. You have to count your exhales and not inhales. Just take nice deep breath into your lungs and include the grounding process. If you're sitting in Padmasana, imagine the roots growing through your tailbone. And if you're sitting on a chair, then you can imagine roots growing through your feet. Include the finger holdings and just sit in that position and count your exhales 36 times. So your finger holding might go for a bit longer because 36 breaths will come in 1 minute or 2 minutes. But your finger holding might go for a longer period. But then you can again start the loop of 36. And then you will find the difference, that how it's making the difference in your physical pain, your emotional pain, and it helps you ground more better in much better way.
Thank you so much. And would you tell me again what the finger holding is? Because we may have a new viewer today, and they may.
Yeah, so we have to hold our fingers starting from thumb, not too tightly, just little, like just softly. You have to hold 3 minutes each, and you will notice there are pulses or beats in each finger. Some are just normal, and some are very high. And as we discussed in earlier shows, this is called worry, fear, anger, sadness, and trying hard to. Worry fast. We say it worry fast. So you just have to hold it and notice the pulses, which finger had the highest pulse. That's all.
Thank you.
And just before we wind up, this was the diary I was talking about.
Oh, it's beautiful.
Oh, wow.
It looks prettier than mine.
So Jim, there's a news for you. The diary beneath this blue cover is exactly same as yours. So this is
just get a
how
cover.
you can decorate your life.
Well, you could put a photo on the outside. I've done that before, or like a message. I've been known to take messages on the outside of my books.
Everyone gets a black slate. You can decorate it as black canvas, you can say, and you can decorate it the way you want.
Exactly. That's right. Or you can visualize it, because Jim's very good at visualizing. But
Yeah, that's why I have this this girl. This is me.
Yes.
Thinking that what it says, only you can write your best life story.
And can we end this before we bring our ambassador on? Can you end this in a prayer for us?
Sorry, I didn't get that.
Yeah, before we bring the ambassador on, can you do a prayer for us?
Yeah, of course. Sure. Just take a nice deep breath in into the lungs, breathing out through your mouth. And bringing all the awareness inside your body, and putting out a prayer for everyone, every viewer of us, that they are healed, whole and complete. And we all are able to find our paths. And the clarity of our journey. Taking a nice deep breath again. And breathe out. And open your eyes into this awareness as inside, same outside.
Thank you, Coach Kumar. It was a great session on Spiritual Saturday with Coach Kumar, Smart Soul with Anandimai. That's the name of the show. And thank you for joining us today. And we have a show coming up with Zach Robertson from the front seat at 12 noon, which is right 1 minute down from here. And then after that, we have Plant a Good Seed with Tish Oakley at 1 p.m. EST on IBM TV. And at 3 p.m., we have Chess Stars with Sasha Star only on IBM TV. So do join us on IBM TV. And it's time to wrap up. And we'll see you tomorrow on Super Sunday with amazing shows from South Africa and musical show with Zach and Rick. So thank you very much. I'll just play the ambassador's message before we wrap up. Here we
Thank
go.
you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
कोरोना वायरस को। धन्यवाद हमारा म्यूजिक सुनने का।
And thank you for joining us. Have a good day. Take care. Bye bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.